So when it comes to building any kind of product business, you want to make sure that one, the product is good, two, the marketing is good, and then three, you want your immediate post-purchase customer experience to be good as well. And that also includes your product experience too, depending on how quickly you're shipping it. But ideally, the quicker the shipping is, the better your experience is going to be for your customer. So just for a little bit of context, if you're new to the channel here, I'm basically documenting the journey of me building a really big supplement business to be able to put better supplements out there for men's health. So what I've got here is pretty much what I wanted to explain today. And it's an element that I'm going to include in each order, which is essentially going to elevate the post-purchase customer experience. So I say marketing and product development are really important here. And the reason is simply just because your marketing is what gets them to have that first purchase. So you got to have good marketing. Otherwise, if you don't tell people about your stuff in an effective way and in a good way, nobody's going to buy it, no matter how good your product is. Now, if your product is good, that is what should get your fourth, your fifth, your sixth recurring purchase. Then that's when you get long-term customers where they have high LTV, lifetime value, if you don't know that, and then less churn, which is when people stop buying from your business. And so you want to be able to have a good enough product, which means that your lifetime value of your customer is longer, which means you get more out of them. And then on top of that, that means that they're leaving your business or not purchasing later down the track. So instead of it being immediately after 1 month because your product's bad, it might be after 9 months or 10 months, which is ideal or better at least. So customer post experience. Now everything is about perceived value. And so when it comes to the idea of how your customer feels post-purchase, that little 48-hour window, those 2 days between when they click the buy button and the 48-hour period after they click the buy button, that's where the emotional state is the most volatile. And so when you get those emotional peaks and when you get those customers anticipating and feeling mixed emotions about either regret or uncertainty about their purchase with you, you want to be able to capitalize on that, and not in a way of manipulation, but because they're in that stage of uncertainty and because they feel these different peaks and valleys of emotions in this small 48-hour window, because they don't know your stuff, they haven't bought from you before. You want to be able to give them the best possible experience you can. And so it's much easier if you take an outlook on business of being able to help others and being able to serve your target customer as opposed to just making money. But that's a completely different conversation. So when we're talking about post-purchase experience, you want to make sure that those 48-hour period of after they click buy is given as much valuable insight or value or some sort of thing or resource, or even if it's a video, PDF, something that is able to give them a clear idea of this is a good choice purchasing with them. Maybe your product might not be as good yet, but it's the idea that you put in the effort and you give them the valuable insights that are important to them or valuable resources that they're able to take their perception on your business and turn it into a good one because they've already achieved a small win as soon as they've pressed buy. And so then that's what's important here. So I'll explain that a little bit more. The idea that perception is everything is not just in post-purchase experience. It's literally in every aspect of your marketing, when you write copy, your website, the outside branding of your product. If we're talking product-based business, perception is everything. And everything that you think about your business up here doesn't exist until it's brought out into the exterior environment, which is the world around you. And it sounds very hippie or weird, but it's the reality. You can have all the thoughts you want, but if you don't vocalize them, if you don't take action on them, or if you don't actually put them out into your business or into your work, they don't exist as according to your target customer because they haven't seen it, they haven't heard it, they don't know about it. And so the idea of what you perceive to be your business, because you know all the ins and outs, you've done all the hours of work, you know the background, you know the back end, you know the front end, you know all of it. But your customer doesn't know crap. So their perception on your business is very limited to the information you give them. And so the last thing you want, and this is more talking to existing businesses, the last thing you want is you as a business owner to give very limited information on how they should perceive your business. And so then the only perception they get is from a bad review they might read online. And so then that's why also reviews are so important. Because if you go and search up, for example, a restaurant, very easy example, their perception is going to be determined on what other people have given them in terms of their thoughts and experience. And so maybe there's 55-star reviews that they have to scroll past the front fold of the tab to see. But if their initial perception is maybe 3 1-star reviews, it's already going to shape their perception. And so it's a bit of a tangent, but it's really putting emphasis on the idea that the customer's perception of your business is, one, totally dependent on the information you provide them to make their thoughts. And two, is a very important concept because it's not always about the clear value that you know is there, but rather the perceived value that your customer intakes. And so that's really emphasizing on the fact that you might know your ingredients in a supplement might be really good, but if you don't relay that information and if you don't give them that perception as well, they won't care. And then therefore, if you're charging a premium price, it might not be justifiable because the information they have to be able to say, yes, that's fair enough that it's priced that way is very limited. And so then therefore, they might not buy. So that's pretty much emphasizing the idea that perception is everything. Now, I want to be able to explain the idea of what I'm doing with the file here, which I've called the progress roadmap, which I'll explain now. And this is a part of the post-purchase experience. And it ties into the idea of small wins. Now, all this is taking all the different scientific research papers and the data and all the claims and the findings that I've found on each and every ingredient and put it into 2 parts. So one part here is accountability for you to tick off every day you use the supplement. So it's almost like a little bit of gamifying the process, because if it becomes a little bit of a game, it's a bit more enjoyable and it feels less like a chore. It also emphasizes them to turn it into a habit, which is also behavioral psychology as well. So that's simply just tracking every day for them to tick off. And so on the other side here is going to be their clear visual proof on the one question that's going to appear in their head when they look at this. So they're going to look at the tally and see, first thing that's going to pop up is, why should I even be tracking this? It's a supplement. It's pretty much the same as everything else. But this is again where you get to capitalize on these questions and also emphasize why you're different from the rest of the competition. And so we've got this side here where the table is, and all that is showing in 3 separate phases: first phase, second phase, and last phase of essentially what benefits you should be feeling on certain days and how your progress is going to actually be mapped in front of you for you to have another incentive to actually keep going to day 30 or day 50, for example. And so most people might just see the tracker and think, yeah, my customers should tick off every day they use the supplement because it's a nice game for them. It makes them feel involved and it feels like that we're a little bit different from the rest of the competition. But then you get the problem where it gets to day 17 and everyone thinks, oh, it's a normal supplement. Why am I ticking everything off? Can't see a reason to this. It's pointless. There's no reason to keep going. I feel bored. And so when you have the clear proof, when you have the clear reasoning right next to the tracker, it's going to put emphasis on them to continue and stay persistent. And this is what we want, because the idea of building a habit around taking the supplement is going to allow them to be consistent and effortlessly take it throughout the day and feel like that there's as little friction as possible to include it into your routine, whether that's pre-workout, post-workout, before bed, as soon as you wake up, whatever. It's the idea that habits are the things that stick. And so we either have good habits or bad habits. And so this is one of those good habits that we need to train. And so the idea of giving an incentive and giving clear benchmark checkpoints, as in specific days or clear descriptions of what kind of checkpoints you should be experiencing along a certain section of the journey, which is why we have the phases, is what is going to incentivize people who would normally last at day 10 to actually get to the full 28-day serving of one product or potentially even buy more. And so that ties into this little bit here at the bottom, where Phase 3, you can achieve at day 25, which is towards the end of the first unit you buy. But I purposely put day 33 and day 37 plus because the idea of consistency is what really bears the most fruit from the supplement. Because if you're consistently taking this every day over a long period of time, you're going to get the most benefits. But this is also a way to incentivize long-term purchase. And so this is where I talk about lifetime value again. And how can we emphasize customers to get great small wins at the start where they feel like your perception of the business, their perception of your business is better before even trying the product? How can we get them to develop a habit around this, which is by getting the tracker and having a justifiable why by having the table next to it. And so you're enforcing a bit of a habit for them to consistently take this supplement. And more importantly, how can we get them to buy again? And so 1, the results are going to speak for themselves. 2, they can continuously have this never-ending game where they can continuously track and have this little hit of dopamine every time they can compound their tracking and their wins when they tick off each day. And then on top of that, if we've got here that day 33 and day 37 and beyond is consistently compounding as you eventually elevate your quality of life and you're firing on all cylinders, and this becomes your new normal, these are the things that people look at after getting all the benefits in the first batch and think, far out, I want this to compound and I want to stay consistent with this. And so by having this included in every order, it gives an emphasis on what's yet to come if you buy again, which is why this is all hypothesis, but the idea is that they continue to buy afterwards. And so this is where we get the second month purchase, the third month purchase, and by then things are already instilled as a habit. And so you've got people continuously taking this, all from just a small idea of a PDF. Now, I'm not saying that the PDF is the make or break of whether they buy for 1 month or 6 months, but it's the idea that you take different concepts of how people behave in terms of psychological methods, how people instill habits, and how people want to feel like that they're actually getting what they paid for from small immediate wins post-purchase, even if it's not the great win that they buy for example, elevating testosterone levels, having clear flow state, and getting better muscle recovery. These things aren't going to be instantaneous on day 1, and people know that. But for a supplement, you need to try and provide some sort of clear, tangible benefit of why they should buy and why buying was the right decision within those 48 hours. And so this is essentially what that's doing. Now, I'd like to eventually include different other resources. Maybe I'll make a PDF on how you can include this into your day. And so I might include simply put this next to your toothbrush maybe, because everyone brushes their teeth throughout the day. And so you want it in a place where it's already a part of a certain routine. And so for example, if they go to the gym and the next thing they do is fill up their water bottle, we want them to put the supplement next to their water bottle. And so then that way it enforces them to gel the habit together. And so it's all conditioning where you put one stimulus next to the other. And then eventually if you pair them together over a long period of time, the stimulus that didn't give the response now becomes one that does give the response from excessive pairing. And I mean, that's a little bit of psychological background with classical conditioning, but I'm not going to bore you too much because I've been rambling for nearly a good 15 minutes, but hopefully this was valuable to you. I will continue to document on my Instagram. So if you have watched this far, feel free to follow me either on my profile or I'll put my account in the description below. And feel free to ask me any questions or DM me as well, because I'm happy to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs. And yeah, I'll leave it here and talk to you guys next time.